You have 4 pence in your pocket when you leave the Matchbox workshop on Commercial Street. You counted it twice, standing under the lamp outside the factory gate, because that is the kind of woman you are. Careful, methodical, the kind who survives. By the time you reach Crossingham's lodging house on Dorset Street, you have 2 pence. The foreman caught you on the way out. "Short count on the morning tray," he said. His breath smelled of cheap gin and certainty. You stood there and did the arithmetic while he watched you do it, and the arithmetic was merciless. 2 pence docked. The bed at Crossingham's costs 4. That gap, 2 small copper coins, is the entire problem. It does not feel like a disaster. It feels like a Tuesday. Timothy is in the doorway of the lodging house, the way he always is at this hour, thick-armed and not unkind. He sees your face and reads it before you speak. He tells you the beds are filling and he can't hold yours past midnight. He says it without pleasure. He's not the enemy. He chalks 4D on the board by the door every night and enforces it without malice, the way a river enforces its banks. It's just the shape of the world. You look past him at the warm rectangle of lamplight inside, smell the boiled mutton and coal smoke drifting out, hear the low murmur of people already safe for the night. You tell him you'll be back before midnight. He nods. He doesn't look convinced. It's 11 o'clock. You have an hour. You head for the 10 Bells on Commercial Street because Gerald the barman has paid you for floor work before. The pub is thick with bodies and tobacco smoke, amber light pressing against the windows like something trying to get in. You find Gerald behind the bar, and he looks at you and then past you at the 2 women already working the floor, collecting glasses, dodging hands. He spreads his palms. Nothing tonight. He says it without cruelty, which is almost worse than if he'd been nasty about it. 2 men near the bar are discussing the murders with the easy excitement of people with nothing to fear from them. A foreigner, one says. A sailor. Someone with medical knowledge, the other one offers, and straightens his coat like the theory reflects well on him. You've heard versions of this conversation every night for 3 weeks. 2 women already, their names in the papers for 4 days, and then gone, replaced by speculation about the man who killed them. You file the conversation away without knowing why and push back out into the street. You know 2 women who might lend you 4 pence. Mary in Miller's Court, who owes you a favor from last month, and Eliza on Flower and Dean Street, who takes in ironing and keeps a small amount afloat for exactly this kind of emergency. You head for Mary first, because the court is closer and the clock is moving. Miller's Court is down a narrow passage off Dorset Street, the gaslight from the main road dying before it reaches the door you're knocking on. Mary answers in a crack, sees you, and the warmth in her face cools by 1 degree. Not unfriendly, just the exhausted recognition of someone being asked for what they don't have. She's short herself tonight. She closes the door gently, the latch clicking with a finality that has no anger in it. As you turn to leave the court, you see him, a man at the mouth of the alley, standing still in the particular way that stillness becomes its own language after dark, not leaning, not waiting for someone he knows, just present, in the manner of something that has decided to be where it is. You've lived in Whitechapel long enough to read that posture in under a second. You take the long way around, adding 4 minutes you don't have, and you don't look back. It's 20 past 11. You move faster now toward Flower and Dean Street, your footsteps sharp on the wet cobblestones, the breath coming out of you in short, pale clouds. The streets are thinning. This is the hour when the East End sorts itself. The paid-up go inside, the rest make calculations. You are in the middle of yours. Eliza's door doesn't answer. A neighbor leans out from the floor above and tells you she went out toward the market earlier. You stand on the step and feel the options closing like a fist. The Salvation Army shelter on Hanbury Street requires a ticket you don't have. The railway arches are dry but cold, and there are men who know that. You run through the mental map of every door you could knock on, every face that might help, and the map keeps coming up short. And then you remember the night watchman at the warehouse on Bucks Row. His name is Arthur. He's old, semi-retired from the docks, the kind of man who tells the same 3 stories and means well with all of them. 2 years ago, he lent you a shilling without hesitation, and you paid it back in 4 days. He works the overnight post at the stable gate on Bucks Row most nights, keeps a small brazier going, sometimes has a heel of bread if you're lucky. You've never had cause to think of him as anything more than a known quantity, which is the exact reason he comes to mind now. He is not a risk. He is a resource. Bucks Row is 10 minutes. Midnight is in 15. You go. The back route is faster. A passage off Winthrop Street that you've used in daylight, narrow between brick walls that are black with decades of soot, the gaslight from the main road unable to follow you in. You don't linger. You move through it the way you move through everything tonight, with the particular focus of someone doing the only available thing. You come out onto Bucks Row and stop. Arthur's post is dark. The brazier is cold, the ash gray and old. The gate is shut and padlocked. No smell of coal, no orange glow, no voice calling out. Later, there is no later. But in another version of the night, you would learn he moved to a different posting 3 weeks ago. The information simply didn't reach you. You put your hand on the cold iron of the gate and stand very still for a moment, feeling the arithmetic reach its terminus. You turn to leave. He steps out of the shadow of the stable gateway ahead. He is dressed respectably, not wealthy. A dark coat, brushed, a cap. He looks at you with the open expression of someone who has arranged his face very carefully to convey harmlessness, and you look back at him with eyes that have correctly read danger every single time tonight. He asks if you're all right, says you look like you've been walking a while. His voice is calm and conversational, the way a street is calm after the worst of the traffic has passed. He says he has a small job, fetching a parcel from a house just around the corner, something awkward to carry alone. He'll pay 6 pence for the company and the help. 6 pence. That is 2 pence more than you need. That is the arithmetic solved with margin. You look at him. You apply every framework you have built across years of navigating this city at night. He is not crowding you. His hands are visible at his sides. There is nothing in his posture that matches the man in Miller's Court. Nothing that matches the descriptions you've heard. Nothing that matches the formless threat the papers have been painting for 3 weeks. He presents himself in the grammar of the ordinary world. A polite request, a fair wage, a destination just around the corner. You say yes. He leads you off Bucks Row into a narrow court that you know exists the way you know a lot of things about Whitechapel's geography, by proximity and rumor, never by entry. He walks just slightly ahead of you, which reads as courtesy, as someone clearing the way. The gaslight from Bucks Row is behind you. The court is dark between 2 walls of old brick, and you are still running calculations. How long to fetch the parcel, whether you'll make it back to Crossingham's, whether Timothy will be flexible by 30 seconds, right up until the moment you understand what is happening. The understanding arrives complete and precise. You were right about the foreman. You were right about Timothy. You were right about Gerald and Mary and the man in Miller's Court. You were right to take the long way around, to avoid the arches, to think of Arthur. Your judgment was not faulty tonight. Your judgment was excellent. The thing in front of you was not legible as a threat, because he had spent time learning exactly how to appear as its opposite, and there is no framework that catches what refuses to look like what it is. The gaslight from Bucks Row is a rectangle of rust orange at the mouth of the court, 10 yards back. It looks impossibly distant. Police Constable John Neal walks the Bucks Row beat back at 3:45 in the morning. He finds you by lantern light. He blows his whistle and stands over you in the cold and waits for the sound of running boots, and the street resumes around you with the terrible practicality of streets. There will be a police report, there will be a doctor's assessment, and an inquest, and newspaper columns and theories about foreigners and sailors and men with medical knowledge. The machinery will turn and generate enormous noise and produce nothing with teeth. The man who stepped out of the stable gateway shadow will remain exactly as unidentifiable as he appeared to be harmless, as invisible to the investigation as you were visible to it, briefly, as a victim. Timothy's register at Crossingham's has your name in it. There is a 4 pence outstanding next to it, uncollected. Your sister in Bethnal Green will hear about it the following afternoon, from a neighbor who read the morning edition, and she will not understand how it happened because you were always the careful one. The 5 women the papers will later call canonical, Mary Ann, Annie, Elizabeth, Catherine, Mary Jane, were all navigating the same arithmetic on the nights they died, the same 4 pence gap, the same cold streets, the same shrinking list of options. The killer's name is still being argued about in books and documentaries and forums 136 years later. For most of that time, that's been the headline. Their names were right there the whole time. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.